as well to give a creative human being a lot of time to also come up with something. Ki, oh shit bro, competition to kuch next level hai duniya mein. So I mean, when you start thinking of things in motion, I think motion is, as I said, a great way of storytelling.
Hi everyone, welcome to the Design Hack podcast. This is the 35th episode of the podcast, and we have been doing amazing. You guys are showering love to us, and today that's why we have a very special guest from CRED, Vitthal, and I'm just gonna introduce him on the stage, and we can start the podcast right away without waiting. Hey Vitthal, how are you? How are you doing?
Hello, what's up? What's up? Thank you so much for having me. Like means a lot. You messaged me on LinkedIn and my instant reply was I'm totally in for this. I genuinely just personally love having conversations with people and I think no better way than actually doing this. So yeah, thank you so much for having me.
Thanks a lot for coming as well, yeah. I think a lot of people are excited for people because I know for a fact getting people from CRED to do podcast, it's like I have to kind of reach out and follow up a lot to kind of get one person.
Yeah.
But I think today we have it. I think the podcast is gonna be amazing. We're gonna have good chunk of
Yeah.
conversations around it. And
Yeah.
I think let's just start with a basic little bit of your introduction for the
Of
audience
course, of
out there,
course.
and then we can take it from there.
Okay, yeah, awesome. So I am Vitthal Bhat. I am currently working at CRED as a product designer. My story is, I think, pretty similar to anyone who tries to do design because they were since day one not really knowing that they're going to do design most of the stories. But yeah, my story actually starts with I my dad is a chartered accountant and he has his own firm, so he was expecting like me to fill in his shoes as a CA. And post 12th I started to basically apply for enter entrance exam of chartered accountancy, which is called CPT in our country, India. So yeah, I basically had applied for, I was going to become a CA. That was the idea, but I knew, I think, since day one, like this, because I'm from Delhi, by the way. So in Delhi there's a very direct pathway of your career. So they expect you to score like 99% easily, and so that you can get into Delhi University, because Delhi University cutoffs are like crazy. So and if you don't get into Delhi University, then you have to like think about what you want to do with your life, because that's like a set pattern that, because I had no idea about this. So creativity, and there was an issue with my light, by the way, so it
That's
might
okay.
throw out the video. Creativity for me was always something that I always kept as a hobby. It was just something that I thought like, okay, my dad was an artist himself, by the way. So I always had that little gene of just thinking creatively. I think it comes from there. So I think I always kept it as a hobby, as something that I knew that will always be something, and I'll just like know ki, haan, theek hai, I can draw an apple, whatever. But I think that was just something that was just there with me. But I never thought of it as a career option. And then finally, when I started doing CA, that's when I kind of midway realized, while I was giving these entrance exams and all, I was like, yeah, ye to I don't think I'm going to do for the rest of my life. But theek hai, I'll just do it, because as at a 12 year, at the age of 12, sorry, when you're in 12th grade, you don't know much about what is career, what does a career growth path even mean. So I was just following what people were telling me is best for me. And I, like, no surprise, I failed the entrance exam twice, and that costed me 1 year. That is the year of 2014. And I was just like, what is happening? All my friends are already in the first year, done with the first year of their college and everything. So that's when I just went ahead and did some career counseling. And that's when I got to know about this course called communication design, because that's what like apparently filled up my psychological test that I just gave and all. And then when I read the description of what a communication design course is and what all it entails, I just realized all the things that I've always adored my life: graphic design, illustrations, character design, filmmaking, photography, all of it comes under the branch of communication design. So it was just like that bulb moment ki, oh shit, I think my hobbies are calling me and asking me to just make that my career. So a lot of fights at home. What are you doing? Why are you doing this? Ye karke. I think that was like the first time in my life I took a stern decision. Nahi, mujhe yahi karna hai, and I want to do this. And I ended up doing that. And yeah, luckily it was a great time. My course is called Communication Design. I did it from Pearl Academy. It is a design college that has multiple courses in it. One of them is communication design, which talks about UI, UX, filmmaking, photography, animation, VFX, also anything that entails visual storytelling. Communication design is that. And luckily, and my major in communication design was in the vertical of graphics and brand design. And I love illustrations as well. So it was just like a combination of things that I majored in. But I had worked at a design studio as well in my during my internships and all, and I kind of understood what the studio environment is going to be like. And I think it's midway I realized during that internship, like I don't think this is something I really want to like work at a studio, or probably change my setting up a bit when I go for a proper real first time and I'll do a job. And that's when Accenture came into our college. It was the first company that had come over there for placements, and they had come for a UI UX role. So we had done like a module of UI UX in our college, and I really enjoyed that time. And then I looked at the salary package of a UI UX designer, and I was like, "Fuck it, मैं तो जा रहा हूँ." I'm applying for the placement option. And then yeah, luckily I'll just like cut it short. I just got through, and I was a part of Accenture. Whatever I've learned about UI UX, I owe it to Accenture, because that was the first job, and that's on the job I've learned anything about product design when it comes to use what the user experience design means. All of that I learned on my first job, and that's where I was for the past from 2019 to 2021 end, and 2021 end is when CRED happened. So yeah, that's basically a good overview, I guess.
Amazing, amazing. I just have a very curious question. So, like you said that your dad uh, is an artist and still he's a CA.
Yeah.
So, did you ever question him about like why you never chose artist or like something like that?
Oh, all the time. I've talked to him. So, my house back in, so I live in, my parents live in Noida now. So it's entirely designed by my dad. His aesthetics and my aesthetics are very different. I would have not designed the house that way, but it was clearly like even like every single cupboard at that house, my dad has sketched it out, and he's like, "This is what I want," and the carpenter has brought it to life. So he has always had that thing in him, and I've asked him multiple times as to, like I was just giving an example at that time. That is basically when I didn't even. I was like, when he was making that house, I was like, you could have done interior design, and you could have done all of these things. You could have been an architect and all of that. Like you understand spaces so well. And his whole typical dialogue, ki, "हमारे time to exposure nahi tha. We didn't know all about all of this stuff." I'm not saying he regrets it or anything. I think they're a much, much stronger generation than ours will ever be, and they have a very direct answer to the fact that this is what was needed out of us. I had to provide for my family, and these are things that I had to do. So that's why like he does what he does. So yeah, I know. Like I think our generation, like one of the things we have the privilege of is fighting for what we think is something that we feel like we should be doing. A lot of times, my dad was one of the people who didn't have that privilege. But yeah,
And I think we are also lucky with the age of internet, because
for sure,
even if we won't be able to make something happen, we have thousand other options to kind of go for.
200.
and exactly, and we even have thousand other ways to. So it's just an example. Let's assume even if we lose a job right now, we have thousand ways to find clients, not just in India, from
Yeah,
anywhere across the world. So it's just, I think those opportunities, and I think kind of I agree as well.
200.
For for them, it's more about like making for the family and like earning bread and
For
butter.
sure. Agreed. Like, if I didn't know key, I was confused with my career, and I'd have to Google what does one do when my parents, like, I got to know there's a thing called career counselors. Like, my
Yeah.
parents didn't have that privilege. Probably if my dad had given that psychological test, he would have got to know that he has to
Yeah.
do. But yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I think we are very privileged that way too, at least. If
And it's seriously amazing because and I was just thinking about it. So even if your dad would have said to his dad that I want
yeah.
1 year of break, I want to try something, and he would like ja bhai naukri kar shaadi
Obviously,
karni hai jaldi.
200%. So,
So
yeah, like my dad, after CA, dadu, my grandfather was expecting him to do a job. He ended up uh, opening his own firm. He was like, "No, I want to do my own thing." So he had a fight with his dad. So my dad told me like it's like a chain that's happening in our house. So I was just like, "Chalo, great! Can't wait to see what my kids do."
amazing.
Yeah.
I think it has been an amazing journey with you. I just really want to get a little deep into the Pearl Academy thing and
Yeah.
how how from school, because how, that's how we start. And
Mhm.
that you said from Delhi, I'm also from Delhi, and I know that this is especially in the commerce, with maths or without maths, whatever it is, you're
Yeah,
just like 95 से ऊपर नहीं है तो कोई कॉलेज नहीं मिल रहा. and
correct.
and DU के बाहर कोई कॉलेज सोचा भी नहीं जाता
सोचा
कॉमर्स
भी
में.
नहीं जाता. It's like it is not even introduced to us कि मतलब it's there's
Exactly.
another life beyond that. Yeah.
And you say कि नहीं वो IPU या कोई, अरे IPU DU है. That's it. And
It's
that's amazing. That's weird, to be honest, but that's what I was wanted to ask, that how was your schooling, and how that like career counseling and other pieces, did your friend circle was like that you were introduced to career counseling around that, and how that Pearl Academy thing exactly transition?
so can you repeat that? You're asking ki how was my transition entering into Pearl Academy or like
Yes, yes,
okay.
yes.
Yeah, I think it was more on the about career counselors in our school. Before in 10th you choose commerce, maths, humanities, what pathway you want to choose, they do career counseling. Like it's sponsored by the school. That's how I got to know what career counseling is. That time they told me that I should take commerce, and my dad was with me, and he's like, no, he will take science. And then I'm, by the way, a person who took science for 6 months and realized I don't want to do science. So then I went to commerce, and then I realized I don't even want to do commerce. But okay, that's a separate issue. But yeah, like that's how I got to know about career counselors. And I think the career counselors had like a this design test, sorry, like a psychological test, which I gave, and they gave multiple um, industry roles which they saw I could fit in. A lot of them had to do with design, and the first one was communication design. So I just kind of talked about that stroke of the creative thing that I called that I had. Like my only way was that I just started. I used to think a lot of things visually. So I think that's why the only reason I would say that I have something to think creatively. So that was there. I think that just struck with me, and that's when the career counselor only told me there are. By the way, by the time I went to the career counselor, NIFT, NID, all these insanely crazy talented design colleges, their entrance exams were over. So I had to like wait one more year, which I could not afford to. And then I got to know that Pearl Academy is having its last entrance round. So they have like two rounds in the year, and I had to within like 3 weeks had to apply for it. 3 weeks or a month, and then yeah, that's basically that was the only option. That was the best college left for me out of what all I thought for, and I'm very very grateful that I went there. Yeah.
Amazing. And how was Floral Academy? Because I am not from design college, but
Okay.
I really am intrigued. I recently visited NID Ahmedabad, and
Oh,
I was
nice.
really and I was really intrigued because I never went through that process of getting into design college, even seed and everything. I did not knew,
Yeah.
and actually, I was at that time when I was trying to get into college. I didn't knew, and a lot of people out there who will be listening to this
Of
won't
course.
know about this. So
Yeah.
I really want to ask, how exactly is design college, whatever you know, different
Yeah.
from any other college? How did, I don't know, how they treat differently designers, but how do they shape designers? I don't even really want to know.
Yeah, I think for so I personally am someone who's very grateful that I went to a college. I went to a design college personally because so I think one of the reasons was definitely that I had no idea what I was doing with myself. So I really thank my college for at least letting me know that this is a career option for me. Uh, so I think my college definitely shaped because उससे पहले I was doing C, and then immediately I'm like, okay, you have to get into design. And so next thing was college. So that's one of the reasons as to why I attended also a design school, because I wanted to like um, do something. So, but at the same time, I feel like Pearl has very 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 different way of teaching. As far as I've had friends at NIFT, like we've compared our ideas and teachings of how things are taught. So Pearl's degree, like the graduation degree, it's actually affiliated with a college called Nottingham Trent University in UK. So your degree that you get is of Nottingham Trent University. So the curriculum, the standards and everything are checked annually at Pearl. Like, okay, what are you teaching, what, so it has to be according to the adherence of that college, like okay, because they are the ones who are giving us the degree. So a lot of the courses are very up to date, like whatever was going on in the industry. I just was on a call last week with my with Pearl only, like I'm in the alumni connections, where they were talking about what they want, how they want to bring up the curriculum around AI and all of that stuff that's basically going on. So they always make sure that was very very something I feel being very blessed about at Pearl is they make sure that the curriculum was very up to date because that's what the industry is. Art industry is fully around tech, and tech changes every 2 days. So how do they do about that? So I think that thing, Pearl Ray nailed that idea that the curriculum has to be very much up to date. So I think that was definitely there. Second thing, I think that a lot of people confuse design colleges about is because it is at the end, if you're doing an undergrad, it is 4 years. And a lot of people confuse design colleges to teach you a lot of great software. Design colleges don't do that. They do, like, there is a class for software, but uh, what 4 years of Pearl has taught me is help me in shaping and bending my creative thinking and design thinking. That's, I think that's basically what a design school should anyway do. And I think Pearl has done that significantly well for me. Pearl didn't teach me Adobe Illustrator. They gave me basics of it. I just, like, when someone asks me, "Arey, what software do you use for this?" I'm just like, bro, I literally, just like you, I'm YouTubing my way through this. So that's the way I've taught myself software, because I think software is a skill that anyone can learn, because it's,
Hmm.
and what you make out of that software is something that is ingrained in your head. That's what is over here. So that is something that is respective and individualistic to everyone. Software is a skill set that I think people can learn regardless whether you're a designer or not. um, so that's something that the school really did. And one thing that I would just like give a great shout out to my college for is that the faculty was not just faculty that are there in college. We used to have visiting faculty who were industry people, leaving their jobs during the day, coming and teaching us, and going back to their jobs in the night, or whatever, like whatever the way of managing was. So we always had proper industry people coming and teaching us, giving us case studies, telling us this is how it was done, this is how they solve problems on day-to-day basis. So from typography to everything. So I think that is one thing that I definitely feel like is a faida of design college, of my design college. At least they taught me that. And secondly, I was never in 4 years of college, because it's a design college. I have fashion design people, fashion styling people, product design, industrial designers, all of these people. So I grew up with this mindset that there's an umbrella design, and uske niche all of us are basically a part of it. So I used to sit in
Hmm.
fashion design classes. I've once sat in an industrial design class also. So I have like mutual understanding of how basically there's like thin lines between our careers is what I've realized. Like, product designer शायद मैं screen बना रहा हूँ on a computer, at the same time an industrial designer, who are actually product designers as well, uh, are making something that is live. So I think there are very thin lines of how our courses are very different, or what we do is very different, because at the end of the day, the creative thinking, the logical thinking, the artistic thinking that goes can be applied anywhere. There's a great quote by Massimo Vignelli. He says, if you can design one thing, you can design anything. And I really believe that, because what matters at the end of the day is basically what's over here in your head and what's your brain, and how you bring it to life and execution is something that you can develop on with time. So that is something I think my college really taught me, that there's a lot of things around you. Try and grasp all of them. So personally, I've always like really, really adored my college time. So yeah, that's what I would bring
Amazing. I
from
think,
college too.
and I think it's I think definitely design college experience is totally different from any other college, and that's what I also figured from specifically from NIT, that
Hmm.
the because I went to an engineering college, and I figured that NIT was way too open, and I just
Okay.
it's just a creative feeling that I think I got in the college.
Yeah.
It was creative because
Yeah.
obviously they teach design, so they have to make that campus creative so that I don't know, creative juices flow. I really don't know, but I
Yeah.
really felt that creative environment out there, and that openness in the
Yeah.
classes, and how they have structured the pieces, and that's what I really loved. I feel about those campus and about those things.
200.
Uh, and that's I think that really shapes a person's mindsets when they are in the college for 3 4 years.
Yeah.
and,
Like,
and
that's what I was saying. Like, imagine you spend 4 years doing that. You're surrounded by people who are talking the same language around you and all of that.
exactly.
That ends up shaping a lot. Sorry, but yeah, you were continue. You were saying about your
And
90.
same thing, and I think that's what I was trying to say, that that experience of 4 years in the college is the baseline of what you will be doing later, and that
200.
really shapes you as a designer, I will say.
Agree.
Person for sure, but as a
Yeah.
designer first, it's totally different.
Agree.
uh, and I think I really want to go forward around this, that I saw that you did some courses at UCL and Parson as well. I just
Yeah.
really want to ask how that happened in your life.
Yeah, those were things. Again, I'll just say, like, my parents were like very, very, very ultra supportive, because see, for them also, my dad was a CA, and if I was trying to do CA, my dad was like, I would have by the time when he realized, okay, ab ye design kar hi raha hai, so ultra time they forgot all the anger, they got ultra supportive, and I'm thankful for everything that they've done. This was just something, I think, when my first year of college ended, my dad just asked me, okay, now you have, because that's something, by the way, I really miss summer breaks, college ke baad. So you get like 3-4 months of chutti. So I had 3-4 months, and I was like, what are you planning to do about this? This like before the chuttiyan started. And he's like, and I was like, nothing. Second year will start. And I was like, no, you should do something during this time also. I was like, okay, sure. What do you recommend? So then he was just like, try seeing if there's anything abroad, design colleges that you really look up to, if they have any course and all that you can go or do online as well. So I just saw कि अरे तो opportunity मिल गया बाहर जाने का. So I just tried to use it that way. And yeah, so I think Parsons was a college I really looked up to at that point of time, and I still do. It was just like that time I was like, Parsons. I want to try Parsons one day and all of that. So I think luckily I just Google search, and there was a great summer intensive course at Parsons. For graphic design, because communications, I mean, I ended up majoring graphic design. So after first year of my college, during the summer break, I went to Parsons. I did a 3 weeks course of summer intensive course of around graphic design. Insanely amazing experience. Way of teaching is so different abroad. I feel it's definitely something I feel like should be uh, definitely copied in India. There's a maybe it's opinion based, because I'm a person who really works on motivation. If someone demotivates me, मेरा थोड़ा सा ऐसे हो जाता है, I'll think what to do. Yeah, वो. The faculty I got over there was ultra motivating, and whatever the way they taught, they gave feedback and everything. So I think that was very, very insanely like thoughtful of them and great. That's something I learned. And of course, one thing that definitely you realize once you go abroad is कि oh shit bro, competition तो कुछ next level है दुनिया में. तो that's you just like एक proper pedestal पे जो थोड़ा सा भी चढ़ते हो कि अच्छा लगता है कॉलेज में बहुत अच्छा किया मैंने, but then you see what is happening around in the world, so you're just like okay अभी तो कुछ भी नहीं पता है मेरे को. So I think it was just that was my only understanding from Parsons. But I had a great time. I ended up really enjoying my 3 weeks. And then I think because communication design, as I said, has multiple uh, branches. One of them is filmmaking. And so when we had a filmmaking module in the second year, I fell in love with filmmaking. Like, I'm not even joking. Photography, capturing moments was one thing that I really enjoy as well. But the moment the motion is involved in it, when 24 frames एक second में होती है and then things start coming to life, I think that just hit this thing in me ki, oh no bro, this is something very, very different. I need to try filmmaking. So I think what overall, and that's when UCLA happened. It was again one of the craziest experiences I've had, because I went to I had the possibility of going to Los Angeles for 1.5 months. I think this course was. I stayed there in the dorms, and we've done everything right from learning how to use a camera, what is basic storytelling, what is a narrative, how to cast actors, and we ended up making a final student film in which we casted the actors. There was one person who was chosen director. I was the editor of the film. There was a cinematographer. There was a grip. Everything. We worked at sound stages, so it was a proper experience of how to shoot a film. So I think I'm very, very, very grateful I got to do that. So I think all of these things, like I'm not doing filmmaking anymore, but all of these things have just like embodied and come together and amalgamated in a way that I have adored storytelling. Like all of these photography, filmmaking, UI, UX design, graphic design, illustration, all of these are just ways of telling stories visually, is what I feel. And that's how like all these things have happened and have done. Yeah.
Amazing. A personal question: do you need a study visa for these small courses? Like,
Yes, you do. There's in the US, the visa is called F1 visa. So you have to just apply for these courses, and once you apply for them, you pay the fee. UCLA has, I think, a selection test. Once that is done, you apply, you pay the fee, and then you get this document from them called I-20. So I-20 is a document that you just then go ahead and apply to. But yeah, you
amazing.
have to go on a visa for all of these. Yeah.
Amazing. And I think so. I recently went to US. My brother actually
Amazing.
lives in the US, so I went to the UCLA campus, and
Oh.
that was amazing. And because I act, my story is actually crazy, but I will tell sometimes else. But I actually applied for a lot of these colleges out there, and I was actually
Okay.
accepted in UCLA for a bachelor's, but I couldn't go. That's a different story. But I, yeah, I know, that's a
We will
sad.
talk about it. Don't worry.
Yeah, yeah, but I really visited that campus. I went UCLA, USC, and other campuses as well. They're what I think first, they are way too big. First thing,
Dude, I was taking Ubers within campus because my itna chal raha tha. I'm
exactly.
not even joking. That's how big the campus is. It's
Exactly, exactly. And the day when I went, actually, it was, I think, moving day for some summer
right.
students. So and they were moving into the dorm and everything. I was so crazy. And so one of my friend who kind of studies there.
Yeah.
So I went to the like the classes and other places, and they were so crazy. And that's what I figured. And not even studying, just without even studying, I figured that the experience the people are having here is like out of the man. And the one thing that you said about competition,
Yeah.
that I really agree to, because I actually went there for a conference. I was one of the
Mhm.
speakers there in a
Oh,
passion
nice.
conference, and I actually met Brad Frost for the first time there, and that conference was amazing. And
Yeah.
the thing was, because usually when you roam around the city,
Yeah.
you won't jump across designers all the time. But
Of course.
when I was in the conference, they were designers from Netflix, Meta, and like so
Okay.
big companies. and
Wow.
and that's where what you told about the competition, like I think we in India are just comparing the ants here to like each other, but the competition is way too wide. And I think if we start comparing, or not comparing, but if we start kind of looking up to that as a competition, or that
Yeah.
as a space
Yeah.
of design, I think the growth, the peak that we see is gonna be like 10x higher
Yeah.
or
Yeah. For sure.
20x higher.
I agree with whatever you said. Because you start at max right now. I'm comparing myself to, let's say, 10 designers that I'm sitting around the table with. But as you start opening, I mean, dribble ही खोल देते हो, you're like, oh wow, what all have people done? Imagine, and you're sitting around in a room of, as you said, people from Meta and all are there. So like it automatically just makes you understand like there's so much going on around the world. Yeah.
And exactly, and even just like, for example, I met a lot of people from a lot of events recently, and what I figured is, so I went to Ahmedabad. Ahmedabad is a tier
Okay.
two city, and so when I went to there, I met a lot of students who, not students, a lot of people who
Mm.
were, and most of them were in service based companies. So
Right.
they just look up to startup. Might be
Mm.
a small startup. They just look
Mm.
at your startup,
Right.
and then when you come to a startup, they look up to a bigger startup.
Right.
And then when you come to a bigger startup, they look at to a bigger startup only, but with a good design team.
Right. Right.
So I think that's the next level they compare themselves to.
Mhm, mhm.
While when you get that exposure, uh, even when you go abroad or someplace else, or like
Right.
when you get that exposure, that's when you figure that you are comparing yourself to nothing. It's
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
it's like so much out there.
200%. Then it's a, yeah, it's another feeling altogether. I remember the first day I saw people at Parsons and their work. I I was too excited. Shit, मैं न्यूयॉर्क जाने को मिल रहा है ये वो. I called up my parents the first time. I was like, मेरे को वापस आना है. I'm someone who gets intimidated very easily, so that happened to me. But yeah, I think luckily everything went fine. But yeah, I can understand what you're saying right now. Yeah.
And I know, and I think that feeling is not able, like, not at all put it into words. And I don't think it can be,
Yeah. Yeah.
but it's a totally different feeling when you go out there and you just experience. I didn't even study there, and I had that so much excitement just by seeing their
Yes.
campus, and
I'm pretty
how amazing their people are, their
sure. Right.
students are. And like it's just I think it's a negative to say, but I don't think we are anything. Like it's
Mm,
just they are too
yeah.
much.
It's like I think the introduction to design in itself in India has just come so recently. Like I feel like our community is very small. Like imagine in a country where design has been taught as a subject since ages. So what? Of course, I think we are also on the pathway for that. But I think yeah,
Yeah.
I agree for sure. Like it's a thing when you go there. It's a feeling. But yeah, I understand.
And yeah, I think people can only experience
Yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah, for sure.
It just even if we say that, it doesn't mean something.
Of
It
course.
really is. And I think people sometimes even think that we are. When I even say to people like I really experienced that, even my colleagues, they're just laughing, and I was like, bro, that's the feeling I got. What can I say? That's what I got.
I know, I know. It's a very weird churning in the stomach type of feeling. कि ये क्या हो रहा है? But yeah, I totally relate, and I'm glad that you've been to UCLA. So I think we can like catch up and talk about the campus all the time.
Yeah,
All
yeah,
the
yeah.
time, yeah.
So let's just get more forward. So I really want
Mhm.
to ask. So after Paul, how's the graduation? And do you have a capstone project or something like that? How does that placement thing happen? Do you have like same treatment as engineering colleges, or is
Yeah,
it
so I
something
think
different?
we don't have like exams. We have things called juries at at our design college. It's basically you have got a project, you get to complete it, and then there's an entire jury that sits there. It may be not just your faculty, people from the industry who come specifically for the jury, who vet your projects, see and go through it. You get like 20 minutes to explain what you've done, and then they give you feedback on the basis of it, and that's what qualifies you to the next year. So that's what we have as our final exams. And yeah, like the final graduation is just imagine a jury but for a project that you get to work on an entire year. So I also had a graduation project, and then like everyone gets to thing till the first year to the third year is that it is a very guided thing. Like, okay, you have to do branding. Okay, what branding? Maybe about a bookstore. Okay, you've got a bookstore now. You think yourself to be revolved. Your mind starts working around the bookstore, and the final project, which is the fourth year of our college, which they just tell us go crazy, whatever the hell you want to pick up and make something. And so we get a year to do that. So that's the fun part, because usually the timeline is 3 weeks to a month for a project. And over here, you're getting like 12 months, I would say 9 months to execute something. So yeah, that's the way to graduate, the graduation
That's
process.
amazing. That's amazing. Then how did obviously you told that Accenture
Mm.
was some placement that happens
Yeah,
from the
yeah,
college itself. So how, because you said you owe it to Accenture, like how
yeah,
have you
yeah,
grown and how have you known about design? How was it like once you graduated? How was that experience of like college and then getting into the industry? Because I
yeah.
know for a fact there is some difference for sure. They do teach and there is some difference. What was that difference and how did you kind of grew as a designer in Accenture?
Yeah, I think one of the few things that I really realized was that uh, design colleges try to teach you a lot of process as well, to because to make you understand, okay, this is from A to Z, this is the process of going there. Once you get in the industry, you realize that process is only half the job done, or process is something that sometimes is not the process. There's a lot of other ways to achieve targets, and I think it's all because based on timeline, you're getting, let's say, 2 months in a design college to execute a project, or a month or 3 weeks. Sometimes the timelines and deadlines are as fast as it can be. So I think that's something that I realized, that sometimes you have to eliminate some parts of the process to actually reach the final execution. And what people will give feedback to the final execution, that in itself is a way of getting feedback and then applying your research and everything around it. So I think that was one thing that I realized, that the timelines that the colleges give you probably should be made more strict, because industry works on a very, very different timeline altogether. You clearly know that. And I think that's a very, very big difference that I saw from college versus when it comes to working in an industry. And Accenture, I think, is more around the projects that I got to work on Accenture are very much enterprise related, because Accenture in itself is a huge enterprise, and the projects that I got to do was very enterprise related. So it was fun. It was great. I think as I said, when you get to work on enterprise projects a lot, you work a lot around the usability factor of it, because the users are already very power users who are using that product. And yeah, I think you get to apply your brain in a very different way, because now you're not talking about a basic consumer. You're talking about someone who's probably has a particular role in a company, and his mind is already wired as a power user who knows how to use those products. So I think my initial inception of understanding usability and product design or UI UX design was very different that way then, because a lot of people start with working on on a consumer facing app or a product, whereas this was a very different ball game. So I think I really owe it that way, that I got to work with mentors over there who also thought very differently, who were like in the industry for the past 10 years, 15 years. So I was exposed to a lot of that stuff. So I think that was basically the time in Accenture. I have had a great time honestly in Accenture, because after college that was just first ekdam industry mein tum ghuste ho. So I was with three more people who got placed along with me from other, and there were other people from other design colleges who got placed. So I think we were like a group of, if I'm not wrong, 25 to 50 people, 25 to 30 people who got placed all across India from different design colleges. So 30 of us really bonded and connected really well. And because because a lot of people in Accenture are really old people as well. So I think we were like the bunch of very, very young people who have just graduated from college, opening doors, lifts, wearing ID cards, and also it was a vibe. Uh, so that's all I would say. But yeah, I think that was my time in Accenture. I'm very grateful, and I have had a blast, honestly, working with people over there. Yeah.
Amazing. I think I just want to ask one thing. So, what would you said like if you guys learn a lot of processes in design school,
Yeah.
and obviously you guys realize eventually those
Yeah.
exact processes don't work. You have to kind of figure it out according to projects and other things. But what do you think? What would have been better, or what should be added in a design college which might be able to kind of relate to this experience, or do you feel like industry is the only place where you can experience that?
No, I think for sure, I think industry experience is much more like something, because I interned during the third year of college, because that's when they tell us that in second half of the third year you have to intern. So we did that, and that's when I got like a proper industry experience. So I feel like um, maybe by the end of the how college ends, people should probably have stricter timelines, or maybe make people understand as to what the what happens usually in the world, because I think it's important as well to give a creative human being a lot of time to also come up with something, because as a faida of design college is that you get because you get to unlock your potential. If I have been given 2 months for a branding project, that is a lot of time to do a branding project for a student also, let's just say. But in 2 months at least I get to have a lot of time to unlock my each creative possibility of how I can execute this product in 2 months, versus maybe let's say in industry you have to give it in 3 weeks. So that's literally almost half the time. So how do you do that? I think that comes with regular practice as well. So I think in the very beginning, it's totally fine to have the kind of timelines that colleges have. But I think later, as the years progress, I would like to, because that transition right from okay, you have a lot of time to quickly you have no time. So I think that needs to be bridged. I think better. That is something that I would say. And I think other than that, I would personally really, really recommend design colleges to actually make people students sit in other classes as well. That's something that I just used to do, because like our faculty was very good. But I think it should be encouraged that you switch. We had a workshop around it, but it was for a week. I would prefer like a very long course where I get to sit for 3 months at an industrial design course and see what that is like, because then I get to see how their brains work, and how do I get inspired by the way their mind works when it comes to making something physical? How can I bring that physical thing into the digital product that I'm making? So I think that is something that is because it's clearly in front of you that the class is mere side mein is a fashion design class. Why can't I just
Yeah.
sit in there and grasp some knowledge? So I think that would be my only recommendation, that I think design colleges should definitely really encourage students to. And yeah.
And amazing. I think that's what a lot of, even me, when I was trying to apply for my bachelor's,
Hmm.
that's what one of the things I was looking for, because at that time I knew that yeah, sure, computer science coding is something I want to do at that time. While
Right.
later on I was like, I've always been creative, and how the hell I can't see that.
Correct.
But
Correct.
that's what I would have seen when
Hmm.
I would have been in a college where I would have been able to experience other pieces.
Hmm.
That was one of the things that colleges from outside really promote. Like, not, they don't even promote. I think people just by themselves go to other classes, and faculties are too much open, like yeah, sure, try it out,
Yeah.
and you figure it out. So even like one of my friend, she, I think, started with maths, then
Okay.
she shifted to computer science, and then later on she recognized, oh shit, that she found that gap between maths and other pieces, technology and other pieces, that cognitive science, I think cognitive science, that's what she wanted to do.
Hmm.
And she eventually chose that, and she did a bachelor's, and now she is doing her
Oh,
master's in that. So that's what I think, as you said, that should be promoted in colleges.
200%. I yeah, with the as you said, like this friends of yours as example only is perfect, because you are, to this day also I can say I'm figuring out, okay, I don't know what I will be doing 10 years from now. I think all of us are always building upon our strengths and weaknesses and trying to find our way into what is best for us. And I think especially for a person who's in college, like your brain is might be scientifically fully developed, but to understand what career and course you're going to be, I think even in college you're probably still trying to figure out what you want to do. And I think that pathway will only get unlocked if you try out multiple things. And our brain at that point of time has the capability and responsibility, and full on we have zero responsibility. Like that is one of the factors I would definitely say of product design. Like we don't have like exams and all that we have, because I haven't like lifted a proper book to study from and in a while since college. So I think thank God, because I was not that person. Thank God Design College taught me that. But I think because if this is the faida, why not? Because there's knowledge and lectures going on everywhere. Just sit in any other class and grasp as much as you can. And yeah.
And I think that that's what even makes you even explore. And even if you don't choose that field, having the
Yeah.
knowledge at that, and that's what my next question is going to relate to.
Mhm.
That you said you did filmmaking and other pieces because that inspired you, and how has that helped you to become a better designer? Because I know those pieces definitely works in a design, and especially in CRED, I will say they do, because you guys do a lot of motion,
Yeah.
and even motion is a part of filmmaking and other elements altogether.
Yeah.
So how do you think that filmmaking and the other storytelling knowledge has helped you to become a better designer?
Yeah, I think that's a very, very nice question. I think again, all of this and encompasses the idea of storytelling, as I said, like filmmaking, photography. Um, it starts from my whole idea of, I've always personally, like my grandfather when I was a kid, before I go to sleep, he used to tell me a story, and then that's how I used to go to sleep. So my eyes used to shut only after listening to a story. So I think it was just very much engraved in me that I used to start visualizing. My grandfather would say, "एक बंदा fire का lake cross करके जा रहा है school, whatever," and my brain is all automatically making pictures around it. So I think I was very much told like a proper story of how to grow on in life, and that's why I never properly fit in this whole spectrum when it came to math and science, because यहाँ पे logic आ जाता है और मेरा यहाँ पे थोड़ा brain चलने रुक जाता था. So I think that thing was just always something that I had born I was born with, and I started making characters and sketches and doing all of these things who also had a story. So I think how all of these things help me is that whenever I have like a piece of a problem, a design problem that comes up to me, be it at work, be it anywhere, be it if I'm freelancing, be it anything, someone comes and tells me like, okay, hey, this is what we have to do. I just start stitching a story, like, because that's what in interaction design you start stitching flows, right? Okay, yahan se yahan tak, the enter ka button will come like this, it will go like this, whatever. That's all a story. You are imagining how a user will actually interact with the story that you want to tell them. And I think the whole idea of storytelling is just to keep the audience engaged. And I personally love to make people laugh. I genuinely adore when I make people laugh. I love the idea of sitting people down and telling them stories about our past, or telling them all of these things. So I think there's like a passion in me that just मैं बताता हूँ आज क्या हुआ मेरे घर पे. So I'm that kind of a person. So I think whenever I get like an opportunity, like, okay, this is something that you have to do, I just start stitching an entire narrative from point A to point B to point C. And I think that has only come to me because I have been given this opportunity of going through different courses that talk about storytelling very well. Photography is a great way of telling story. Art is an insanely great way, because art and photography, I think, are one thing that people can just look at and make stories up in their mind as to what they think it is talking about. Because a movie might tell you a story from point A to point B, it might be open ended, but there's a narrative that you are following. I feel when it's just a static image, you just start telling yourself, okay, what the story would be. So I think there's multiple things that just start coming up, and it's just a great way of keeping the audience engaged. And I think filmmaking really did that very well for me. And when you start thinking of things in motion, I think motion is, as I said, a great way of storytelling. Uh, I just apply that every day at work. My UI UX point of view say, I just don't think, okay, ये screen ऐसे statically interface दिखेगा. Next, I start thinking, how will this interface be introduced to the person? How will it settle down in front of them? To then actually imagine how will it exit. So be it even a single screen, how should one flow to another flow go? I start thinking of it in motion. I might not be the one executing it. We have a talented motion design team that does uh,
Mhm.
that takes care of that. But there's like a storytelling narrative that always keeps on going in whatever design problem I solve. So I think that personally helps me because I then get attached to the product. Okay, this is the way that the story flows. इस तरीके से आएगा bid blast में coins ऐसे flip करके घूमेंगे, they will go in the slot and all of that. So I think that's just a way of just, it just adds, personally I would just say, a level of more love towards what you're creating every day, because now you're adding a story to it, you're adding a narrative to it. And yeah.
Amazing. I mean, just a curious question. Do you think there is any people can do anything, because there are, for sure, there are no courses out there to make you learn storytelling, but what do you think people can do to kind of improve their storytelling so that eventually better designers? Yeah.
I think storytelling ka, for me, it is always, I have always been this guy who has, as I said, I'll just repeat it, that I love to make people laugh. I laugh at my own expense if I have to. I love self-deprecating humor. Talk about मेरे बारे में कुछ joke करूंगा and tell them मेरे साथ ये हुआ and all of that. So attention seek करना personally is something that people say, oh, attention seeking is so lame. I personally think attention seeking is insanely, it's a beautiful talent, because if you can grasp an entire room's attention on you, I mean, don't do it in a wrong way, but do it in a right, if you do it in a right way, I think there's nothing better than that. When you have all the, so it can be intimidating as well, I can agree that when you have all the eyes on you, but at the same time, if you can carry a narrative from A to B, and if they have listened to you even for 2 minutes, I think you have something in you. If you can actually make an audience listen to you for the next 2 minutes, you're telling me stories about your friends and I'm listening to you, you have a knack of storytelling. Because uh, I think more and more you start realizing that you are a human, and we just think, ha, maine aaj pani piya, okay, theek hai, that's a very normal thing. But if you start over thinking as to how you reached that water, that's basically how I think, how I reached that water bottle throughout that day, what made me reach for that water bottle. I had a bad day, I started doing this, I got up. There's a story that you're forming and telling yourself also, you're going through every single day. So if you just start telling yourself and narrating it to yourself, I think stand-up comics are a great way of seeing, because they are people
Yeah.
who are very observant in nature. They tell you, they are talking to you about basic things in life. Abhishek Upmanyu just literally just exaggerates things that are basically happening every day in your life. So I think if you just start noticing that every single day that you're doing is actually just forming a story. That's what great vloggers like Casey Neistat and all do. They're just telling you what is happening during their entire day in front of a camera, and you're just engaged in it, right? So I think you don't have to find a story. You yourself are a great story. You can just look into how your day started to how it ended. That in itself could be a little movie right there. And just talk to yourself about how it was, and I think just bring out the passion in you of narrating that story out to people. I think that's a great way to start storytelling. Yeah.
Amazing. Next question. Did you ever meet Casey when you were in New York?
I went to his
Building.
building. So David Dobrik is also a famous YouTuber. He
Yeah,
was
yeah, yeah,
selling
yeah.
his. It is an insane possibility how that even happened. I was a huge Casey Neistat fan because of his storytelling and making, and I got to know on his Instagram story that David Dobrik is coming to his place. I didn't get to meet Casey. I didn't get to meet David Dobrik. There was a huge crowd outside that building that day, so I didn't go there. But he was selling his merch. So if you remember, Casey's building is on the first floor or whatever
Yeah,
floor pe. Niche is also a part that he owns, and it was his
yeah,
office of his previous company Beam.
yeah.
And I got to go inside that office because that's where
Wow.
they were selling the merch. So I have pictures of that area and everything. It's a beautiful memory. I'm so glad I have someone who understands that. I have told people that, "अरे bro, मैं KC के वहाँ गया." Like, ठीक है bro,
Oh,
whatever.
shit. I think now that space is 365 ka space where
Yes.
they in the
Yeah,
starting
360,
they have.
368. I got to go in 368 or whatever. Yeah,
Oh
yeah, yeah.
shit,
I
bro!
did.
And I think they have made a nice space when you talk about 360. I definitely would love to look at those pictures because I
For
am a
sure, I'll
huge
send it to you. I'll
I
send
am
it
a
to you.
huge Casey fan, and this time when I went to US, I had a plan to go to New York, but I had to kind of come early and other things. But that's the plan. Next time when I go, and now he has shifted back to New York, so
Yeah,
for
he
sure.
shifted back to New York. Yeah, yeah. Crazily enough, the time I went, he had released the video that he's shifting out of New York. So I was like, the last time he's here, I have to go and check out his place. At least bahar se photo le lena hai mere ko. And I got to actually go inside. He wasn't there, but I got to. So it's a memory in me that I actually have entered the.
Amazing. That feeling, bro. When you are even telling me, I
It's
was
a
like,
fan
shit.
moment. It's a proper fan moment.
It
So
is
yeah.
even if you do, and I think when you talked about that filmmaking, your passion of
Yeah.
filmmaking and storytelling other places, and he is the perfect guy to kind of
Guy to
say
tell that.
that.
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
I think that fan moment, I think you and like other people who have the same similarities in
Trust
those
me.
spaces
They will
will be
understand.
able to understand that just
Um,
getting in that space is that,
it's.
and it's like mind blowing, bro.
I
And
know.
even and that, so I am definitely saying I will die to see his like office, that upper
Yeah,
floor,
I
because
know.
the way he has designed that.
It's a, I think it's a masterpiece how he has done it. It's beautifully, it's a very very good example of great I think it's artistic actually. I won't even call it just functional. It looks very beautiful. And I was expecting कि शायद they will give us a chance or anywhere to the people, but that wasn't there. But yeah, I at least got to do that. So I'm very grateful. Yeah, I got
कोई
to
नहीं,
go and see
थोड़ा
that.
सा सही है।
हाँ हाँ, कुछ थोड़ा सा हिंट glimpse मिल गया, that only is enough.
वही
Yeah.
बात है। Awesome man, awesome. I think now I really want to get to the major part of really what people were looking for. How
Mhm.
exactly after Accenture and every such good journey that you had, how did CRED actually happen? Even I want to know, because you said Accenture was really good, you learned a lot.
Yeah.
Why did you even decided to kind of shift? And when you
Yeah.
did, how did CRED happen?
Yeah, I think it was just I was there for 2.5 years, and I kind of realized that the work at Accenture is great, but it's just probably not in the best interest of me. I What Accenture definitely gave me was the love that I have for product design, for digital product design, I'll say, for digital product design. And I just realized I really want to pursue this and I really want to do this. I just don't think that the domain that of products that I'm working over here are the right ones, because that's very enterprise related. It's B2B products. Whereas I really want to work on, because I want to think in a very consumer's mindset as to how a basic consumer thinks. And for that, I need to join a company that faces the consumers directly. And I think no better place than startups that we have been given in Bangalore, especially. Like, in Bangalore, you have a gift of actually going out there and seeing people hustle every day. And I think that's the best part of startups. You get to do a lot of 0 to 1 products that consumers are facing. And I think the startup that I had applied to, there were multiple of them, and one of them was CRED. Um, and yeah, I had just basically literally just written a LinkedIn post. So my process I've realized is that best way to apply is just message the person who is at. So let's say if you're looking for someone, let's say in Swiggy, just search designers at Swiggy in LinkedIn, and then you'll get like a search result, and you'll get like 10 designers. Just go ahead and message them. That's what I tell anyone who's looking for jobs. Just message 10 of them. एक तो reply करेगा ही out of them. So yeah, that was my process, and I think I had applied to CRED. Atul Khola is one of the designers at CRED. He is someone who I had messaged, and I think around I had messaged him around like din mein sometime, and I think I was just lying down my bed around 1 o'clock in the morning, and that's when he replied to me saying, "Hey, listen, your portfolio is dope. Let's get on a call." And I was just like, I got very very excited because CRED was for me was there's a lot of things as well. The thing is that, as I said, I was a graphic designer and an illustrator and a brand designer. So my mind has always been very, very artistically or visually trained to see things. I think functionality came thoda sa much later for me. I was always trained to see things artistically. Now that I was working for the past 2.5 years, now I understand the functional part of design as well. I just wanted to marry the two of them together. So I was just seeing a lot of work that I was doing. A lot of times, visual design took a back end and functional design took a front end, and that is something that where things just won't sit well for me. I feel form and function are two things that I respect a lot, and I think both of them should go together. It's a well-oiled engine. When both of them work together, then you have a great car or a motor that works. But if one of them just like is wobbly, so I don't think you've got a great product in your hand. So that was something that I was just realizing. I'm sacrificing a lot of visual design work, and that's where my actual skill lied. So that's something. When and back in 2019, when I had installed CRED for the first time, I was blown away. I'll be very honest. Instantly, by just the onboarding only, I was just like, who in India is doing this? Because that's not how I've seen an app onboard. App had like 10 questions in onboarding, and it just went away in like 30 seconds. I didn't even know what happened. So I was like blown away since that time only about CRED. And then one of the companies that I applied to was CRED. And when I got a reply, I was just jubilant, ecstatic, whatever great English words are there for this feeling. I got to be there. And yeah, just I had an interview process. CRED has the most insane interview process. Everywhere else, I is usually most of the places that I applied to, they have a design test, an entire journey of whiteboarding rounds and all of that stuff to basically qualify you. And they should also. But CRED as a company itself works on this word trust a lot. That we are trusting you. If you've shown me your portfolio, we are trusting that you are the one who's made it. So the idea is that we are trusting in you, and we hope that you trust in us. And that's how a good society is built in general. And that's how we want to build our company as well. So their idea was that, hey, listen, let's just get on a call. And I was expecting portfolio rounds like insanely level, which is fine. Portfolio round was there, but like a design test and everything. But it was just I had 4 rounds, and all 4 of them was just conversations. My portfolio round happened in the last. My first 3 rounds, I didn't even show my portfolio because they had seen my portfolio already. They were just trying to get to know me as a vibe. Will I vibe with the team in general? What is my outlook of design? How do I think of design? Uh, how is my attitude in general while I'm talking to them? And all of these things I think encompass a lot as to being a part of the credit card team, because they see your portfolio, they trust, okay, this you've made this. Come, let's just talk now about each other and get to know your journey. And in those 3 to 4 rounds, they understand. If they think that you just vibe well, you're a part of the journey. So that's what happened. Yeah, like I had 4 rounds and I luckily cleared it, and I'm very, very touched, very, very happy where I am.
Happy for you, bro. Awesome for you. I just want to ask one more thing. How long does the 4 rounds take?
I think for me, it took around 2 weeks. There was a lot of stuff going on for them also, which I got to know later. Neopop, if you know the design system that
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
was being launched. So those guys were basically in the whole process of that. Otherwise, usually now I'm also someone who does take a lot of interviews at CRED. Now it usually happens. Sometimes it happens within a day. We just call the person during the day, and then we clear all their rounds in like one day. Sometimes max to max happens in like a day or two. Mine took around like 1.5, 2 weeks for it. And yeah, I think that was the
I
timeline.
think for you, was that at the time of COVID? I'm assuming.
2021 end. So second wave had passed. So yeah, like I think post COVID, third there was a third wave where I
Yeah,
was,
yeah.
but yeah, post COVID only I would say
So
post.
now you guys basically make the person come to the office itself.
Yeah, so CRED had a hybrid nature since day one only. Like it's up to you whether you want to come to office or not. The design team, however, loves to come to office. I personally adore to go to office because I feel like the crazy things that happen at CRED, one of the biggest reasons is that I think design team just wants to go ahead and sit and jam together. And like you, I have been in places where I was staying at home and listening on the calls in Google Meet, and all I could think was, "अरे मुझे अभी office में होना था इस चीज के लिए मैं क्यों नहीं हूँ?" So I think there's this lot of uh, insane stuff that happens when you're in person. Personally, that's my opinion, and that's something that I really look forward to every day. I wake up and I get to go to office and I want to work over there. But yeah, of course, like if in case you want to take a work from home, you can do that very easily at CRED. That's not really something. I can
Amazing,
switch off
amazing.
the design team for sure. Yeah.
Amazing. What would you recommend if somebody really wants to join? I'm assuming you guys are hiring.
Yeah.
And so, in case somebody wants to join, what would you recommend them? As you said, first
Yeah.
is portfolio, but what would you recommend them to be as a person? Because you said a lot of trust and
Yeah.
other pieces are important. What would you recommend them to kind of have or look for when they're kind of applying?
I think just in a very direct way and in the most sweetest way, don't be an asshole of a person. I think that's the only thing that CRED really cares about. That you're a that as I said, if we are trusting in you as a company, if we're hiring you, and we hope that you trust us as being someone who is going to take care of you. And I think that's a very well balanced relationship that way, and that's how the company works. So in the way we just vibe in general, try to understand as to how your design philosophy works. When you get problems in front of you, how is your way of tackling? Are you a team member? Have you worked personally in a team or no? If you have not worked in a team, if you're a freelancer, that's fine as well. But how did you navigate with other stakeholders as well? So I think because we have a huge design team now, how you collaborate in a team really matters to us. So I think how your people skills are, I think that's a very good plus point to have in CRED. If you're able to communicate your designs and ideas very well, what's going on in your head, that's a very good plus point. On top of that is, I think definitely a portfolio is a very, very must at CRED. Like if you have a great design portfolio, you will something that I think we can very proudly say at CRED. No one was and I like this is something that our head of, so we call our head of design Harish Bhai. His name is Harish Sivaramakrishnan.
Yeah.
We call him Bhai, all of us. He says this very proudly, and I just like love this thing about us. We've never hired someone because need aa gayi thi. Arey, we are releasing this thing. We need a designer who can think this way. Chalo dhoondo aisa designer. People have just applied, sent their resume on designmafia@cred.club. Pasand aaya, we've called them for a call. It's never been like, okay, we have stopped hiring, or okay, we are hiring because of this specific role. It's never been this way. Like we've never thought of it. A lot of people asking questions like, okay, what team will I be joining in design? What product I will be doing? We've never thought of what role we are going to put you in. We just love your work, and that's why we want you to be part of our team. So I think, yeah, that's basically all the process of applying.
Amazing, man, amazing. And I think that's a very unique process as compared to any other org out there. And I think that's even why like kind of CRED is famous about the design and other pieces. And
Right.
even that's what even I think a lot of even people talk about, like people like the design team will call it design mafia, and that's that's the, and I think that's the whole intent of it. And that's really cool, to be honest,
Yeah.
because and that's what I really loved about, as you said, about credit, about trust,
Yeah.
and I think uh, while these rounds and other pieces definitely are important for companies to
Yeah.
go through, but the cred being kind of trusting you and kind of reaching out for you
Yeah.
if you are a good designer,
Yeah.
that's really amazing.
For sure.
Uh, and I think it has been some amazing journey for you as well.
Yeah.
How I think for the cred piece, I really want to ask one last question. How CRED has been for you? Because since you joined, it's been quite a while now. How has CRED been for you?
Yeah, it's been this is not even any exaggeration. I think I don't know if I'll ever be able to find a workplace like this, because that's the kind of standard that they have set for me. Because yeah, I think it's, for me, it's I think it comes from a very personal space, because as I said, I was always a very visual thinker in nature, and I was a lot of times surrounding myself around designers who I feel like were giving a lot of less advantage to visual design and not understanding what the value of visual design is. And a lot of times the talk was just about functionality, and design is all about problem solving. Design is all about problem solving. Whereas I've always come from the mindset that uh, I truly, truly believe that design is art, and art is a huge, huge set, and uska subset is design. And that's the kind of philosophy I've always seen myself follow, because I look up to a lot of people. I look up to a lot of fashion designers, look up to a lot of artists. I just don't take क्या बोलते हैं, inspirations from Dribble, Pinterest. Yes, I'd love to look at those places as well, but I read up and understand a lot of philosophies of fashion designers, because that's the kind of people I was around in college as well. And so my inspiration I draw from different fields, who also think about form a lot, which is, let's say, fashion design is a great field that thinks about how an attire would look like. So I think when I started surrounding and seeing a lot of these UX laws, Hicks law, hai, ye hai, wo hai, I started seeing a lot of principles around how a designer should think. Whereas my way of seeing design was that you have been given a blank canvas, and that's how you should think about when you're a designer. So I think once a lot of principles and laws and rules started getting applied, I started thinking this of as something less like, this does not feel the kind of design that I personally want to be a part of. Because I'm all for principles, laws, and rules, because they exist for a reason and they have been studied on. But I also want to break rules sometimes, because that's the faida of being designed. 2 plus 2 is not
Yeah,
4 here. 2 plus 2 is 4 in maths and science, not here. You get to make 2 plus 2 is equal to 5 over here. So I think that was my only thing. And when I saw CRED 2019 for the first time, first thing that just came to my head was, okay, someone is doing something different here. This is a great visually looking app as well. People are not just talking about solving a problem here. And I think that was my only thought when I had seen CRED. And finally, when I was interviewed, I just let my heart out. And all these things I'm just telling you right now, that I've been a visual person, I've been a person who thinks about form. And suddenly all of them started looking at me, and I just saw that people who think alike like me are in this company. All of them think this way, and I was just like, okay, I'm home. I'm in a place where I really, really feel like I could actually uh, provide something, or my skill set will be of some use. So I think that's what CRED has been for me. Honestly, it's been a beautiful journey. It's been 1 year, 3 months now, and I'm just super super excited over what all is going to come my way in the next few years. But I'm just like ultra, like, I don't think there's all of this credit, by the way, goes to the head of design. He has a vision, and all of us try to bring it to life. And he himself is a engineer, by the way, who's also he's a huge rock artist as well. So he has an artistic gene in him as well, because he's an artist. He's a singer. He's a great vocal artist. So I think his brain just wires very well when it comes to functionality and art, putting them together. And I think all of us get to be a part of that journey. And I think it's just a stupendous and an amazing journey I'm a part of. So that's how I'll summarize CRED.
And I think I can I can definitely see those on the expressions of your face. And I think that's actually really love to be part. And I think even
It
have
is. It
I
is.
and I have figured out that CRED is a place that people really love to be at. Even everyone who has like, I've talked to Mayank and other people out there as well, and it is seriously amazing what you guys have together, and everybody is super amazing and super happy. And that's what you said, like having that vision and following that, and like kind of
Yeah.
everybody being together, helping each other out, and other
Yeah.
pieces, and that's the right place to be at, and that's super amazing. Uh, uh, Vittal, I think it's been super amazing. I think I really want to go to the next round. That is a rapid
Yeah.
fire
Yeah.
round.
For
Okay,
sure.
and then we
Excited.
just have two more questions, and then we'll end for it. But
For sure.
I really want to. So this is a rapid fire round.
Mhm.
I did that in one of the other podcasts as well, but I
Mhm.
usually don't prepare. So I have 10 rapid fire questions.
Mhm.
You answer as soon as possible.
Awesome.
I will give you two choices. You choose one. If you want to give a reason, you can. Up to
Okay.
you.
ठीक है.
Okay. The first one is designing for accessibility or designing for aesthetics.
Aesthetics for me.
Any reason?
I think form comes personally for me. Form and function are both equal, but your first visual interaction to anything is usually by form. So imagine you're in a supermarket and you see a great aisle of cereals. Your first interaction is how beautiful the packaging is. You take it home, then you eat, and then you realize, okay, this is not tasty. So your experience part, I think, comes much later. Aesthetics, I feel, I believe that you can create a there's a great quote by J. Cole. He's a great rapper. He says, paint a picture vivid enough to cure blindness. And I feel like art in itself has that power. So I think I would prefer aesthetics on that.
That's an amazing quote. Uh, yeah. Second, collaborating with other designers or working solo.
Collaborating, always. Always.
And I think it doesn't need a reason as well.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It does. You cannot be. I mean, you can be a jack of all trades, but being a master of one is very, very difficult. And I feel like great products and great things come to life because a lot of people put their heart and soul in it together. So,
100 times agreed. Third, experimenting with new design tools or sticking to tried and true favorites.
experimenting with, sorry.
Experimenting with new design tools or
Mhm.
sticking to tried and true favorites.
Experimenting with new tools for sure. 200%.
And
Tried and tested, I think you will always keep on learning and enhancing your skills. You
yeah,
always want to switch up and try new things out there.
and I think I have a follow up question. Have
Yeah.
you tried all the kind of AI tools kind of going around?
I
Do you
do
have
a lot
any?
of experiment around it because I think when you're trying to brainstorm, a lot of the times I was trying to take out images from the internet to show my vision. Now I can literally just type out what my vision is and something brings it to life. So I'm easily able to explain it like during mood boardings and everything. So I think I would.
And I think that's what I figured with your talk as well, that uh, because you are form first, aesthetic first guy, and
Mhm.
that's what I figured is key for you, especially. I think these tools like Midjourney, Dali, and other pieces, Stable Diffusion. I think these are really good because
Yeah.
mood boarding and other pieces becomes really quick.
Mhm.
I'm not sure if it's easy or not, but quick for sure because you have that mind and you write that and you get a lot of and you kind of
Mhm.
iterate and figure it
Yeah.
out.
Yeah.
And, And I think, and so I'm assuming you definitely use those to kind
I
of
have, I
make your
have, I've
process
tried my
faster.
hand around it. Yeah, it's been quite a fun journey. It's like a good pastime. I'll be very honest.
Yeah, sure. Fourth, I think that's creating designs that evoke emotions or designs that focus on functionality.
Emotions always, definitely. Yeah.
And I think that impacts at a larger scale.
Much larger scale. That's something that I think you will be remembered by for sure. And I think
Exactly.
because when you create that way, I feel like when you try to create art is everlasting and long lasting. Mona Lisa is everlasting. Starry Night is everlasting. Functionality keeps on changing and creating. So yeah.
Yeah, I think fifth is collaborating with AI or viewing it as a competitor to traditional design methods.
Collaborating, always collaborating for sure. No
For sure, I
compromise.
think and it's a plus point because as AI comes, it definitely helps us to kind of focus on the
Yeah, dude, imagine this way, like things that you weren't able to explain to people now, there's someone who will make it for you in 1 second. I think matlab, see it as a superpower that you and yourself have now, that you can actually tell people what you're thinking. So I think, like personally collaborating, we'll see about what happens in the future, but I'm really excited
same.
what's happening. Yeah.
And I think there are, I think we just have touched it is touched the like the surface itself,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
there's a lot more to explore. And I think later on, so I think recently I gave a talk, and I was some person asked like, will AI, will should I be scared by AI? I was
yeah.
like, why the hell should you be? Like,
Scary.
it's not gonna eat you.
I don't know,
It's
man. Like,
exactly,
yeah,
and I think so I was just looking at him and I was just talking to him. I was just told him that why the hell you will be scared by
right,
AI? It's not
exactly.
gonna
Yeah,
eat you and anything until unless you know how to use these tools. You're utilizing them for yourself. Uh, that's the
it's
best
a
way.
it's a very see it's very easy to be intimidated by stuff. I agree, I'm not going to blame them for that, but I think there's a faida of seeing how this thing can help you as well. You can think about that, oh wow, because that's the first thing that I just thought of. Because so my girlfriend showed me Mid Journey for the first time. She was on the phone and she was telling me that I just made this in like a second. And I was like, first thing that came to my head was, oh, bro, मैं तो अब कितना कुछ कर सकता हूँ. Because now the whole idea was, I was trying to like one screen to another when I'm just like mood boarding, I'm literally taking random ass images and trying to say कि यार imagine कर लो ये जब ऐसे ऐसे होगा तो this is how the thing will be. Now I can literally just stitch flows by making it build upon a narrative. So I think, yeah, again, storytelling, great way of.
Amazing. I think sixth. So this is an interesting question. Using AI to predict user behaviors or relying on established design principles.
I think using AI to predict user behaviors would be great for sure. I think we are in a very different era. We are going to be changing a lot of ways how people use things. And I think predicting how people interact with technology, I think AI will have a huge role in it, which might bend a lot of people's ideas of what set notions and principles are of using tools. So, yeah.
And I think I agree because even when, as you said, the design processes that we learn at design schools or
Yeah.
anywhere else,
Yeah.
and when we get to the industry, they are really different.
Very
And
different. Very different.
and we currently even seeing this that those design principles doesn't works for us right now. Like
Yeah.
not exactly, some
Yeah.
or other way we might be
Yeah.
trying to use, but as we go forward, they are gonna evolve. So
Correct. For sure. Agreed.
makes sense. Seventh, I think using data to inform design decisions or relying on creative instincts.
Relying on creative instincts. Yeah, for me, for sure. It's
Mhm.
there's a total. I'm not saying that data is bullshit or anything. I personally use data all the time to make changes to my designs all the time. But I think there's just another level of satisfaction that you get when your intuition works. I think as a designer, intuition is a huge deal. And if I say कि मुझे अबे को, if I had interviewed Abhay and understood, okay, he wants a PS5 for his birthday, versus me understanding with my intuition, with my hard work, understanding the logical of how Abhay thinks without asking him, and then gifting him a PS5, there'll be another level of smile on your face. कि, oh, मैं तो उसको कभी बताया भी नहीं I needed a PS5. So I think that way, I think, and people can surprise you. I think Henry Ford said this great quote, right? That if people ko maine pucha hota what they want, they would have asked for a faster horse. They don't
Faster
know that
horse.
a car exists. So I think you can always surprise people with innovation, and I think that's a great way to
And
think.
that's definitely amazing because I think these only instincts makes you stand out.
Yes.
Because if you are just going to rely on data and everything, you're just going to generate something which directly is asked. But if
Yeah.
you give someone something by surprise,
Surprise. Yes.
or like something randomly, spontaneously, that's gonna be a different emotion.
Different ball game altogether, and you may fail. I'm totally agreeing. By the way, data ka fayda ye definitely is at least you have something to back up what you've done. With intuition, you're going with your gut feel. I think this should work, and yeah, I think that's the part of the journey that's fun.
And I think that's worth it.
It is worth it.
Uh,
I will agree with it.
yeah. I think next is creating designs that are scalable or designs that are custom built for each project.
Hmm. I'm like sort of my feet are in both of these things this way, but I'll say creating custom projects then in that case. More of inclination is towards that. Yeah. I
And I
do
think
believe in scalable designs a lot, honestly. That's so yeah.
and I think it also depends a lot on the
What you are creating at that point of
yeah,
time. Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah. 200%.
yeah. Next is conducting user research or relying on intuition when designing.
Intuition.
Intuition. We already
Intuition.
said that. The last one is designing AI system with a focus on aesthetics and social responsibilities
Okay.
or prioritizing technological advancement.
Hmm. First one is aesthetics and.
First one is either you want to make designs AI design systems,
Hmm.
AI systems which
Hmm.
focus on aesthetics and social responsibilities,
Hmm.
or prioritizing technological advancement.
I think let's do with aesthetics and responsibilities as well. I think along with AI come a lot of responsibilities. That is the part that I'm scared of. I think when it comes to AI, because it is getting so good that you don't know what will be real after a point. So I think that kind of just like is the part where I just feel like there is a lot of responsibility that comes with when you have things like deep fakes and all going on, because AI is getting so good. We always used to think this is in the future. The future is here now. You're seeing how powerful they are. So I think that social responsibility definitely comes with it. Aesthetics you can always create, but I think there's a social responsibility that comes with if you're creating AI.
And I think I also agree because I don't know if you have seen, but there's a video going around of Joe Biden declaring a nuclear war, and that's a deep fake video. Yeah, and
That
that
is
has
why.
gone that has gone
Yeah.
viral.
Yeah.
Even I was I think scrolling through reels, and I found a reel of Elon Musk saying, "Now I'm gonna go for Meta and everything." I was like, this looks fishy. And then I went to a lot of places and then I figured, oh shit, okay, no. And
It's a fake.
that's what I
Yeah.
kind of agree with.
Yeah.
Those responsibilities
It
are an
comes with a
important
responsibility
factor.
for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Agreed.
Awesome, man. Awesome. I think we are almost at the end and there's just two questions left.
Hmm.
So we talked about ton of things like your journey, Paul Academy, going abroad, experiencing things, CRED, extension, and a lot of other pieces. But what's next for you now? Well, what's next for Vitthal?
Personally, I think I really want to develop a lot of my skill set now. I see a lot of things in the future happening in physical spaces. So I think that's something, as I say, like I think by the age I'm 40, I don't want my LinkedIn bio to say product designer or a UI UX designer. I think again it should say storyteller, and I want to delve into a lot of more things. I really want to get build myself. I think a lot in motion. I don't do a motion work. I would love to develop that skill set so that I can give power to my words. I think that would be one way. I really want to develop my skill set in motion. I really want to work a lot in 3D spaces. So I think developing my own, I don't know, sculpture in like three wooden sculpture or something like to do with a lot of because I've designed my own space, tried to do it with whatever I had. So I think that also intrigues me. So I just want to dive into a lot of verticals of design and art. I think that's personally my thing that I really want to do. Now let's see whether I do it or not. But like that's I think for sure something I really hope is next for me. But yeah.
That's amazing. I've seen your space from your, I think, Instagram highlights. It's super
Okay.
amazing. So so we have so me and so one of my friends kind of,
Mhm.
follows you for quite a while now. And when I told him I'm kind of doing a podcast with you, and then we were just scrolling through your Instagram and we just saw that space,
Yeah.
and he was like, this looks like a Pinterest board. I was like, bro, that's his house and shit.
Thank you.
So
That's a very beautiful compliment. Yeah, like, it's a very small space. Trust me, बहुत like शुरू होके खत्म हो जाता है. I needed like a space for my own self, so I think this was the only place in budget for me. So, but yeah, like it just fit very well, and I had got the chance to make it. Like the landlord is very sweet, so he just like allowed me to do whatever. So I think I just got to
आई डोंट थिंक
my way.
एस्थेटिक्स में शुरू होके खत्म होता है. एस्थेटिक्स में वो एक जगह पे लोग 10 मिनट तक रुकेंगे.
Yeah, I'm very. Thank you so much. Means a lot to me.
But it's a definitely amazing apartment, यार. Definitely, यार. And we were just talking like यार किसी एक दिन हमारा भी होगा.
Are bilkul, please. I think so because I moved from home for the first time. So it just one thing that was always because my dad in his aesthetics has made a very beautiful house back where we live. I just wanted this feeling that when I come back after a tiring day of work, I just want to come to a place that feels like home.
Oh,
So I always wanted to build it my way, and I got to luckily do that. So yeah, for sure.
definitely, yeah, I'm not even gonna speak. That is actually a good space, and so that's the same feeling I really. So even so, I pay a huge rent here where I
Okay.
stay right now,
Okay.
and so one of my friends he pays like every one of my friends like pays half of what I pay right now,
Okay.
and they were like, why did the hell do you pay so much? I was like, bro, that's home.
Yeah,
Why
I
is it?
know. You can't justify this. Yeah, this is like something that you know. Okay, this just feels right, and this is my home, and I want to stay here. I agree.
Exactly, exactly. And I'm like, bro, I don't want to discuss it. That's it. That's my home. I'm paying it because I love it.
Full power to you, man, for that.
Thanks a lot, man. And that's a obviously amazing journey, and that's amazing that you have been so far in your life that
Right.
making that space. I really want to ping a lot of people that do check out his face from his Instagram profile.
Thank
And
you. Thank you.
they're definitely gonna ping you now on Instagram. Where did you bought all the pieces?
Yeah, I'll definitely answer. I reply. Trust me, I genuinely like talking to people a lot. That's again comes from me. I like talking to and getting things out of conversations. So yeah, if you have any questions, anyone does. So I will always reply.
Yeah, yeah, I'll for sure. I will actually leave your LinkedIn and Instagram in the
For sure.
description. In case you have anything else, I will leave it in the description so that people
Yeah,
can
yeah.
reach out to you. I think we are almost at the end question, which I ask everybody, everyone
Mm-hmm.
who comes on board.
Mm-hmm.
What would you suggest? And you have given a lot of tips for sure, but I really want to ask one thing. What would you suggest? Can be a single tip, can be multiple tips. What would you suggest a budding designer who is trying to get into the industry or who is in the industry
Mm-hmm.
to become a better designer?
What would I suggest them?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've already, I think, said it in the conversation, but I will repeat it again. And I truly believe in it. Don't see just one vertical that you are in. If you are a UI UX designer, don't just look at UI UX work or UI UX designers. Trust me, design is a beautiful vertical which has n number of people in it. You have great people like Virgil Abloh, who passed away recently last year, and he's one of the craziest designers. If you can just listen to his Harvard talk, it's the craziest talk that you'll ever see. So I think a lot of design at the end of the day, once you realize, is just to do with creative thinking, and your inspiration is actually out there amongst creative people. Listen to them. They, no matter if they are not doing your vertical of work, it's totally fine. Just listen to how they come up with crazy ideas, and trust me, that will always and always help you think what you can do and unlock next level potential and actually make you stand out from others. So I think that is one thing that's helped me, and I hope it helps others as well. So yeah.
Amazing, man. I think that really is a practical advice because even when kind of I was growing up, because not being from
Mhm.
a design college, I feel we do miss out on a ton of shit for a good chunk of while. I thought like, yeah, bro, like I'm from engineering. I definitely
Mhm.
know tech, so it will be easy for me.
Right.
But when I get tech, sure makes it a little easier for
Of course,
handoffs
of
and other
course.
places. But I definitely missed out on a big chunk of
Yeah.
pieces in a design college, and that's what now doing these podcasts and other pieces, I'm trying to cover those up. I feel.
No, no, I think this is a beautiful thing that you're doing, honestly. It's you get to listen to people. I think one of the craziest things that design tells us is a lot of designers to do listen, to just listen and understand other people's perspectives. So I think like power to you for doing this, man, honestly.
Thanks a lot, man. I think it's the podcast was a wonderful one, and we talked about ton of shit, and thanks a lot for coming here. Thanks a lot for
Of
sharing
course.
all these
Thanks for having
insights, and
me.
it was super amazing. I think we're almost at the end, and I think people who are watching this, they definitely had so much fun. So do reach out to Vitthal for any questions that you have,
Please do. Yes,
and
definitely.
around his apartment or any of his journey, do reach out to him.
For
And
sure.
yeah, thanks a lot, Vitthal, for coming in, and thanks a lot for everyone who watching. And see you guys in the next one.
Thank you. Thank you so much.